So when President Cyril Ramaphosa delivers the State of the Nation address this evening, he is expected to reassure the nation that the country is not under attack. In October of last year, cabinet ministers were held hostage after a meeting with war veterans turned sour. Shortly after New Year, Parliament was engulfed in flames, destroying parts of the precinct. It's the reason why Sona is taking place at City Hall. So what course of action can we expect from the President following these and many other incidents? Head of African Futures and Innovation at ISS Africa, that's Jakkie Cilliers, is our next guest to help us unpack the story, and he joins us now live on this Thursday morning. Jakkie, you know, the list of issues that the President has on this State of the Nation address day is incredibly long. There are issues around the economy, joblessness, we've got rolling power cuts that we experienced just this week, and of course, security in the country, in the wake of that high-level panel review report that was released last year and in the wake of several incidents just this year alone.
Yes, indeed, that is the situation, and I think the President will have to say something about this. What was interesting is that the ANC's January the 8th statement already reflected upon the high-level panel. And I think that the President and the ANC realized that the report is a bombshell in terms of the detailed recommendations it presents and the picture it presents of executive incoherence and inaction. And South Africans are worried. And what he needs to do is to instill confidence, not only that the country is stable, but also that he's got a grip both on the security agencies and on the economy. Without fixing the economy, without growing the economy, and we've been going backwards for a number of years, it's not possible over time to create employment and grow ourselves out of the problems. But in the meanwhile, he has to demonstrate that people will be held to account and that he will bring stability to the top end of intelligence, the police, and the ball is in his court. For a number of months, we've been waiting for action, for example, on this spat between the National Commissioner and the Minister of Police. But what the report points to is just the lack of coherence in the top management of security in South Africa. And that, of course, needs to be addressed, particularly on intelligence, where the Mufamadi panel, which is now 2 years old, recommended action be taken. Certainly, we don't know what's happened, but certainly as ordinary South Africans, I think we have a right to expect that he does bring some suggestions to the table. Yeah.
In fact, the Mufamadi report released in 2019, almost 3 years old, and many would argue the that expert panel report that we got last week, a lot of it was not new. A lot of the revelations in last week's report was contained in that Mufamadi report from 2019.
Well, the two reports are quite different in the sense that the Mufamadi report pointed to the structural extent to which State Security Agency had become a factionalized in the ANC internal struggle for power, whereas Sandy Africa really goes into great detail about speaking about how the incoherence within the security agencies, the management between the National Security Council, NICOC, nobody takes their views seriously, has now become a problem. So her recommendations, in a sense, are much more operational than the kind of structural challenges that the Mufamadi panel presented. And they are far-ranging. But the most important, of course, is that the President and Cabinet take collective responsibility for what has happened. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that Cabinet will say, we are collectively responsible, and that means no single person will be held accountable. And we've had numerous commissions of inquiry that point to reform in the security agencies that go back to Marikana. And we've seen very little action. And I think this issue of consequence management, of holding people to account, of re-establishing confidence in the rule of law, and that people will face consequences, particularly politicians within the ANC, because they rule the country. That really is I think, what we all are looking for.
I mean, one thing is certain, Jakkie, the consequences lie with South Africans. 50 billion rand wiped from the economy during the July 2021 riots. the report by Sandy Africa talking about inaction by state security and intelligence, as you say, also saying that cabinet must be held responsible. This tiff between Commissioner Kesha Sitole and Minister Bheki Cele really revealing the real-life effects on the ground when the top echelons of state security are at loggerheads.
Yes, and it also reflects the damaging impact of cadre deployment factionalism within the top echelons, because the two people that you've mentioned, for all intents and purposes, come from different factions within the ANC. But at the root of this lies bringing stability to the security agencies. It's not difficult. What needs to happen is that the President needs to make permanent appointments from within the police and intelligence of capable, competent people, the best, to the top positions, from Deputy Director Generals upwards. And that is simply not happening. And we saw again with the interviews recently on the appointment of the Inspector General of Intelligence, there was considerable reflection on the state of intelligence. And we not only in South Africa face many internal problems, and the Sandy Africa report says it's not when, it's not if there is going to be future violent instability, it's just when. Mm-hmm. We're also in a violent region where the insurgency in northern Mozambique is spilling out. We've got problems in Eswatini, the ongoing collapse in Zimbabwe. So it is really very important that while we fix the economy and get the economy going and growing the economy, because employment will only follow growth. If we don't grow the economy, we can forget about trying to create employment. That while we do that, and that will take time, we also fix the institutions that in the meanwhile have to deal with the insecurity in the country. And South Africans will expect, I think, that the President make reference to this and commit and instill confidence that he is going to get on top of that situation.
Yeah, and we don't mean get on top of the situation by appointing another panel, another review, another commission of inquiry. There needs to be something said, Jakkie Cilliers, about whether we are under attack in South Africa. What is happening in terms of our security as a nation? And of course, it's in light of everything we've discussed just now. The July 2021 riot, the fire at Parliament at the beginning of the year, this fire that happened at St. George's Cathedral as well. We want to know what's going on, and does the President know what's going on?
Yeah, I think one must, in retrospect, it is important to join dots and create a picture of a grand conspiracy. I don't believe that to be the case. Mm-hmm. I think that what is happening is that it is so evident that there is no consequence management in South Africa, that the rule of law is fracturing, that people are taking things into their own hands. And this is really what is concerning. So there's no big spider behind the web that is managing fires in Parliament and all of that. But the opportunity for these kind of events to spiral out of control and the lack of effective security reaction, consequence management, that is, I think, creating an opportunity structure where the pressures from unemployment, inequality, poor governance, corruption just spill over. And then we are left with a situation that bubbles out of control, as we saw what happened in July of last year. And we must not underestimate the challenge that presents in South Africa. So I think the getting on top of the security agencies is an urgent responsibility, as much as growing the economy, unlocking growth in the economy.
Yeah, Jakkie, you're saying let's not be so quick to join just any dots and talk about a possible conspiracy that's happening in the country. What would you, Jakkie, ideally, if you heard what you wanted to hear from the President tonight, insofar as security in our country is concerned, what would he be saying?
I would like him to ensure us that he will finalize the situation between the Minister of Police and the National Police Commissioner. He will, within a matter of a month or two, ensure that all senior positions within the police and state security agency that are empty will be filled, and that those positions will be filled through an independent recruitment panel that recruits from most capable people within intelligence and police and stabilize the situation. And then I would like him to see that he will get on top of the National Security Council, the intelligence that comes from NICOC, and that he will harmonize and listen to what comes from those structures that exist, but nobody's taking them seriously. So relatively simple management things can go us a long way. Remember what has happened with SARS, how SARS has been turned around by the right people at the top that bring stability and that provide leadership. We haven't seen that. What happens in cabinet, of course, is a different issue. I mean, he has many, many problems, given the factionalism within the country. But again, with the ANC heading for elections in December of this year, we probably, party politics will probably predominate in terms of shuffles and changes, but there's also significant room for change, but SONA is not the place for that.
Yeah. Jakkie, Cilliers, let me thank you for your time this morning. Some important perspective there on just what we want to hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa in terms of state security is concerned ahead of the State of the Nation address. He's the head of African Futures and Innovation at ISS Africa.